Sticking my trigger.
We're okay now? Okay, we'll just go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll let Charles, would you say the invocation?
Father, thank you for this day and the blessings that you've given us. We thank you for each person that's here and ask that you guide all of the board and everyone in the audience to come to a conclusion that will better the people here in Durant and it will honor you. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, if everybody would stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, number one on the business is consider an action approval of the minutes of the June 10th.
I need to call the roll.
Okay, you're right. Sorry about that. Okay, we
Alright.
still have to have the roll call. So
Okay.
give us a roll call.
Trustee Anthony,
Here.
trustee Calhoun,
Here.
trustee Cross,
Here.
trustee Johnson is absent, trustee Reed,
Present.
vice
Here.
chairman Shear,
Here.
chairman Thorpe.
Here.
Is there any way to make Janet louder? I'm afraid she's not going to
Yeah.
get picked up.
Couldn't hear very loud.
Couldn't hardly hear.
Can you hear me now, Cindy?
Just
Not
barely.
really good, no.
Okay. I'm trying to see if I can adjust anything on this. I mean,
Okay, we got you.
Okay.
I think everybody knew that voice, so that's good. Okay, so we'll go to number one, consideration action approval of minutes for June the 10th, 2020 regular call meeting. You have any discussion on that?
motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay, we got Janet with a motion to approve, and who seconded it?
Tammy.
Tammy? Okay. Let's call the vote.
Trustee Anthony,
Yes.
trustee Calhoun,
Yes.
trustee Cross,
Yes.
trustee Reed,
Yes.
vice chairman Shear,
Yes.
chairman Thorpe.
Yes,
And Chairman, I wanted to also let you know, I put a copy of the May 18th minutes in front of everyone. I had to correct the title of that agenda item title. And
Okay.
that was the only change. The body of the minutes did not change, but that title did.
okay.
So it's been amended and it's now of record. But I
So
just
we
wanted
need
to
to
let
go vote
everybody
on
know.
that too then?
No, I don't believe so. I mean,
I think you did. You might have changed.
well, we can.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go
And
with
so
that.
y'all have it in front of you, and if for Janet's aware of it, she and Jennifer brought it to my attention, so.
Motion to approve those minutes.
I'll
Okay,
second it.
all right. And
Okay, any discussion on this?
trustee Anthony,
Yes.
trustee Calhoun,
Yes.
trustee Cross,
Yes.
trustee Reed,
Yes.
vice chairman Shear,
Yes.
chairman Thorpe.
Yes. Okay, we'll go to number three, discuss and consider approval of a proposal for advanced lighting project, and that's presented by Curtis Armour.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. Something I've been pretty passionate about for a while is trying to create a destination. And so, a few of the things I want to back up a little bit. In fact, of what is tourism? Tourism is how you get people to come to your area and spend money. That's basically the definition of it. And you know, what brings people to Durant? The casino, the lake, Southeastern, multi-sports. Other than that, not a lot. So the question is, how much of that travel directly impacts the city when it comes to sales tax? And again, when you think about it, it affects some, but not a lot. So the real question is, how can we capture more of this visitor economy and create sales tax for the city, revenue for our business owners? And that's by creating a destination, okay? And so we have this tourism tax, and I really, really think, I truly believe in my heart, this is one of the best expenditures that we could spend out of this tax money to create a destination inside the city of Durant that helps our businesses, it helps our city, and it does create tourism, period. And so over the last few years, we have business people who are injecting significant capital into our downtown. And now it's time for the city to step up and help these people. It's time to help downtown really rejuvenate itself. And let's get it to where we don't have, and somebody will have to help me, but I guarantee you it's probably a quarter of our businesses downtown, buildings are empty. We're pretty close to it. There's a lot of empty. So let's figure out how can we do that. And so I know some people have heard me talk about this for years. You should have a copy of some projections that, you know, there's several people we talked to John with the city. We've talked to the Durant Industrial Authority. I've talked to local shop owners downtown, Main Street, the Chamber, and we've kind of thrown something together. And is what we want to do is we want to light up downtown. Okay. We need to create our downtown, it needs to be something similar to downtown Grapevine, downtown McKinney. You have a destination that people go out of their way to come to because they have something to come see, something to go do. So with great anchor restaurants downtown, with the Roadhouse, you know, Roma's, Main Street Barbecue, we have the pub, we've got the pizza place. We have several, I'm sorry, I should have delivered those.
Thank you.
We have several places and reasons for people to go downtown. Let's pick that up. Okay. So what they just presented to you is a quick, and we think these projections are very, very, very conservative. You know, our goal was what happens if you get 200 people a week downtown on average. So I've even got a couple of our local businessmen who are currently in the process of injecting significant capital to our downtown, and Tony and Scott DeWalt. Both of those are putting in big businesses that will help the city of Durant. Okay. This is going to light up Durant. We're going to make it pedestrian friendly. We want to make it to where people have a destination where you just don't come out of the casino to go find someplace to eat. You come downtown, find something to eat, something to shop, go to a couple of different restaurants and pubs. This is where our sales tax is going to come from. This is our opportunity to get people out of the casino and into downtown spending money. It also gives us a way to get people to come to stay in other hotels and not even go to the casino because we have a destination. And hopefully this is the first of several phases of trying to light downtown up. And so if you look through there, we projected 200 people a week and on average spending $100 a piece. It's not huge money, but you know, in 5 years, that's $170,000, okay, in sales tax revenue, just using the 3.5% that's accounted for by the 2% of the general operating fund, the 1% the capital improvement, and what goes to DIA. You get that to 600 people, which I think is doable, that's $500,000 in 5 years. Once the new brewery is open, once Tony gets his place open, getting 600 people downtown, I think a week is not a problem. I think those two places will bring 200 people downtown a week by themselves once we get them open. And you can see on the second page, we have just some samples of lighting. This is kind of, you know, what we're thinking of what it'll look like going through downtown. Third page, you can see by the yellow squares and the yellow lines where we're hoping to string lights. I think this lights it up. Lights it up, makes it very pedestrian friendly. There's some other things that go along in this plan, but this is by far where it needs to start. We have restaurants, we have bars. Let's light it up. Let's make it friendly. You know, I would hope that at some point in time we come back and maybe we light up second and third. String lights around Market Square. Again, this makes it pedestrian friendly. It's a destination people will want to spend time and spend money. Third page, Texoma Manufacturing has worked with us to figure out just what we were looking at and getting Main Street lit up, what that cost is for the lights, the poles, and installation. That what we anticipate the fees will be in getting it from OG&E to the poles. So ballpark is, to get that done, we think it's about 40 grand, give or take. That's not exact, but this is a start. We've also looked at the electricity. We've consulted with OG&E. We think that the electricity on this will cost $1,000 a year or less. When talking to John, he thinks the city might even be willing to eat that cost to get people downtown. I mean, the dividend on this investment returns in no time at all. You know, easily, if this authority grants the money to get the lights and the poles, you'll see that payback with the city of Durant within the first year easily. Like I said, something that's been a project that I've had in the back of my head for years and years. And I think ours are finally aligned to get it done. Authority gives you something to stake, the authority on. Look what we've done for downtown. We've created tourism. We've created a destination. I'm open to questions, and hopefully you can kind of see the thought in my head and where I'm hoping this goes. But
Have you went to the city yet and see if they could put it in their budget?
we have talked to John.
And what did they say?
John's all for it. When you say put it in their budget, what are you talking about?
Okay.
Are you talking about the electricity part?
No, I'm just talking about the project. Have you asked the city to put this in their budget?
We have not asked the city to put this into their budget. No. I mean, this is where I think it starts. I mean,
Yeah.
if you go back to what I started with, tourism, this is the tourism authority. This is where the money that has been aggregated for tourism should be coming from, not out of the city operating budget.
Yeah. Are these posts going to be, are they going to be on the city property, all those
Yes.
posts, and they're okay with that too?
There's some hurdles and some things we've got to get through, but yeah, I mean, the overall, and John, please step up. Good.
If this authority recommends that it goes forward, we plan on putting it on the council agenda for next Tuesday for council consideration. The electricity, I think, is minimal in the cost, like Curtis said. I mean, the number that Stephanie actually came up working with OG&E is just over $500 a year in electrical cost just for that section. That's really minimal to bring people downtown. Like Curtis said, I think it would return its investment quickly.
Yeah.
So to the city. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's a great
It is a good
concept.
idea.
So
After we get those, and I don't know if it's called capital improvement or not, they'll have to ask you on that. But after we get those up, it'll be if you have a big storm come through, let's say one of those lights come down and hit a car or hit a person, who's going to pay for the liability? Is the city going to pay for it, or do we have to get insurance to pay for that?
no, it would
Because you're going to have something.
it would be a city responsibility.
The city
Yes,
will.
sir. Yes, sir.
Got some more questions?
Just one question. The maintenance on the lights themselves, will that be also, will the city look over that part?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Have you talked to OG&E about maybe putting this in the same way they do street lights for the city?
Conversations with OG&E, they have not stepped up and offered a significant amount of help. We're hoping that they'll help with the
Have
cost.
you specifically asked them?
Not specifically asked. I mean, there's already streetlights there, and I know there's some issues with OG&E that we've done a lot of things they put in and taken out power over the past 10 or 15 years, and I don't know how much more we can get out of OG&E. I'm more than happy to ask anybody to help get this done.
OG&E's not paying for it. Our franchise pays for it.
Well, but
All of the street lights in town, OG&E act as, I'm talking about the ones on
Yeah,
public
yeah,
property.
but
They
then
act-
again, the other thing is these poles are not just going to be streetlight poles. They're going to be decorative. They're going to be encased in wood. And that's one of the things that I would argue pretty strongly is this is not capital improvement. Capital improvements improving city streets, sewer. This is decorative. This is lighting. This is creating a destination.
I know Stephanie's idea, I'll go ahead and speak for her, I guess, is that these type of poles would look just like or very similar to the ones that you approved for the wayfinding. So they would match that. So not like just a regular light pole out there with a string of lights running from it. Like,
And
Chris said,
we'll,
it'd be very
and we'll-
decorative and match what we're already
Yeah.
planning to put downtown. We're
and
working
we'll
on
be
that.
able to, if we approve this, the city will send us a letter back saying that they will accept the liability if something happens in a storm, right?
Yes, sir. We'll do that if that's what you need. So, I mean, it would be on our general liability insurance anyway, so.
Has there been any thought given to going around to each of the downtown property owners and them? I know I did this about 20 years ago on not only here, but out at the university for Christmas lighting. And was able to raise the money to do it. It's $20-something thousand at that time. We're still using most of it. And everybody shared that.
Well,
Was somebody else fixing to speak?
this is Tammy. I was just going to say, you know, I agree with Charles. It would be nice if the business owners could help, you know, but in light of everything that's been going on in our country, it's very difficult. And like he said, there's a lot of the buildings are empty, and that's our goal, is to get them filled up with retail shops so that when people do come, more retail shops, so that when they come down, they have multiple choices and lots of things to shop. You know, our downtown is better than it's been in a long, long time. And I want to see it just go up that next notch, you know, and I do think the lighting is an issue. You know, people, you want, number one, you want everybody to feel safe. So you want it lit up real well. I just think this is a great project that if we can help with it, I would love to be able to do it.
And I'm just going to reiterate what Tammy said. I really fear that our merchants they can't at this point help with the financial responsibility. And I think it's our responsibility to help create a destination to hopefully help to pull them out of any setback that they've had during this time.
You know, in what we've presented, we're still going to have to go out and raise some more money. Like I said, we have not accounted for getting the power from OG&E to those poles. There's still additional cost that's going to have to be absorbed somewhere. And I, as the bank, we're willing to throw money at it. I'll state that right now. I'll be the first. We'll get $1,000 check. But this is the biggest part of it. And this is what's going to create tourism. This is what's going to help our city. And this is what's going to help our business owners. And like I said, hopefully this is the first of many phases that creates a destination in downtown and gets people out of the casino.
I agree, because as a hotel owner, you know, they say, what else is there to do here? And we tell them about downtown, but it's not as exciting as to go down there and go to Roma's or the other restaurants, and especially the one he's building now. And I mean, they're trying to make it a destination. I do think it's our responsibility in helping them. And especially as a hotel person, that person that only was going to spend one night at the casino, they see this and they think, well, maybe we'll stay another night and explore downtown Green. So
and you know, I see that we're talking about advertising. What are we advertising? I mean,
That's why we're asking these questions. The other question I'm going to ask you, you're saying we can do this in stages, but you know, if I'm an owner on 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 9th Street, by the bypass, they can literally say you're discriminating against us because all you have is these 5 streets, and all of a sudden we're here and they're going to come at us because they want it on 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 4th Street.
Here's the
So
thing
what are we going to say then?
This is a piece of the puzzle. We don't have the money to fund it all.
Okay.
2nd, 3rd Street, hopefully yours is coming. Market Square, hopefully yours is coming. You know, 9th Street, we've got an arts district down there. Maybe we can get it down there. This is a seed that we have to plant. You can't grow a crop without planting the seed. This is just the seed. This is the first step.
And I think,
And there's really,
But what if they want it now too, since we get it here? What if they want it here?
we can't give everything to everybody. And you know that as well as I do. You can't make everybody, and especially in a municipality deal like this, you can't make every citizen happy.
But they're going to come back in.
Ask John. Everything they do is going to make somebody unhappy.
We
But
are.
what's in the
We are.
best, let's go back to what's in the best interest of the city of Durant and the citizens as a whole. If you want-
Curtis, I'm sorry. I think, I know you think I'm talking from above, but I'm not. I think also that we need to mention that there has already been a substantial investment on Magnolia Mile on the alley and also in the Pocket Park that's going to be lit soon. And those are private investments.
well, I think too, when you see people, you know, when they see one step taken, yeah, you're not going to make everybody happy, but until they can see the potential or of what could be, then you say, well, you know, as time goes, we plan on doing more, which that's the whole goal, is to do more, to make it more of a destination of all over, whether it's 9th Street, 2nd, whatever. That's our plan, is that we want to continue to build. But like Curtis said, we have to start somewhere, and then we continue out a little further out.
And
Why is it that you stopped at 6th Street and not go all the way to 9th Street?
this is just funding. And actually it's not 6th, it gets to 4th. Gets to 4th Street. And it's just funding. It's what can we figure out that we can get done. Now, if we want to expand this and try to do more of it one time, I'm all about it. You know, like the thing about this is, and that's something I didn't touch on. One of the other benefits to this, how much of the tax dollars that we've been saying for years, stay in Durant, shop in Durant, and people are going to Sherman, McKinney, Plano to go bar hop and go eat at restaurants. I do it all the time. How much of my money stays here? You've got a lot of people who are leaving town to go do exactly what they're going to do in downtown Durant.
Plus, if people, like he said, he goes to McKinney, then we start pulling people from all around us to here, you know, where now they're going other places. And that's what we want to stop, is for them to go somewhere else and not always go out to the casino.
I'm just asking questions because this is going to come up. And after we see this, there's going to be some more business people going to come in and say, why didn't you do it for us? And why are you playing this favorite? You see what I'm talking about?
Well,
I think you're
Go
gonna
ahead.
happen. I think you're right, Jim. It's going to happen. We just all have to agree on how we answer, you know, that Curtis came in, he made the proposal for this. If you've got a proposal, you know, bring it to us. We'll look at it.
You know, I can go through there in this, you know, let's light it all the way up down to 9th Street, most of the way down 9th Street. And I've said for years, one of the best things we can do for tourism inside the city, you know, as hotel owners, that you guys should know that the tribe used to have buses that would take people to your hotel, and they've stopped that, have they not?
No, they actually started back just on weekends, so.
Just on weekends?
Yes.
So,
But, you know, I've said for $70,000, you can buy a trolley. You can buy a trolley. You can make it run to that casino every hour on the hour. They can drop them downtown. They can take them to your hotel. They can take them to Southeastern. They take them to the hospital. We got to figure out, that is where our tourism dollars need to be spent, is trying to figure out how to get the captive audience we have in Bryan County downtown.
Yeah, we know that when the casino shut down and wasn't open up, the tax money coming from the three owners that has the motels, it shut down, and probably a third. 1 month is 13,000, 1 month is 11. We were hitting $35,000 and $40,000 on taxes, and it just dropped us big time.
Yeah,
So when the Choctaws have no advance, it just really
This
just
gives you
takes
guys,
us
this
down.
gives you other hotel owners something to market.
Yeah.
And you know, if you have that trolley that's coming down 9th Street, there'll be some of them, they'll see sheriffs sitting there. You know, light up 9th Street eventually. I think this helps us all. But like I said, in the way you explain that to people who are complaining, this is the first stage. This is the first stage. This is where it has to start. Downtown is logically the place it has to start. And we have people putting in private money to help our downtown, so let's help them.
Curtis, what is the total amount that you're requesting? Tammy or I don't have that in front of us, and I apologize.
I don't,
The bid that we got from Texoma Manufacturing is $32,653, and that includes the 12 by 12 by 20 light poles wrapped in wood print, you know, the bulbs, the cable installation. So it gets the poles in the ground, lights strung up. We just got to get them powered.
When you say wrapped in wood print, is that, what's the material?
I assume it's, and I couldn't tell you for sure. I don't think you'd want to just wrap it in plain wood because your maintenance on that would be incredible, but it's probably some kind of synthetic that looks wood that you're going to wrap just a plain steel pole in it to get
So we
it down.
don't know what it is.
I don't know exactly what it is.
Has anybody drawn up specs for this? Have you consulted with a lighting engineer?
Yes. Stephanie
Or
has
is this
been,
just somebody's, we've seen it someplace, this is what we'd like to
Stephanie has
do?
been running some of those traps, trying to help us get this done. I mean, you know, like I said, this is something that, if you want to join in, Stephanie, please do.
Well,
You know, we've backed it down, you know, you got it down. It was originally, it was a 5.5 watt bulb. Now I think we've got it down to 2, which has got the electricity cost way down. These are LED bulbs, you know, in theory, they should last 10 years. We all know they don't, but they're going to give you a good 5 or 6.
There've been a lot of changes in
Yeah.
lighting and everything.
And so this
An
is just,
up-to-date lighting engineer should have some.
but you know, this we're not talking about, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Stephanie did use the OG&E engineer to figure up the lighting stuff and all that. So they have been a help to us.
Now, these lights are supposed to last maybe 10 years or more, is what you're
Yes, sir.
saying?
Yes, sir.
30,000 hours. LED bulbs last 30,000 hours.
And who's going to replace these, OG&E or the city?
City.
It would be the city's responsibility.
The thing is, these bulbs have gotten way cheaper. The budget for the bulbs is about $1.50 a piece. They're not.
Oh, well, that's cheap.
I mean, are you talking about just going with Texoma Manufacturing, or are you talking about sending this out? for
We
bids?
haven't, not to my knowledge, we haven't bid this out. This was just trying to get something started. Now, we can go back to the drawing board and bid it out, but I'd sure like to try to keep this local, and I'm not sure who else will do this.
I know in Durant, it's hard to find.
I'd like to keep it local.
At this price, we would have to bid it out. Anything over 30 has to be bid. So with the estimate over 30. So
We'll tell Scott to make it less than 30. No, I'm kidding.
I'll ask Janet a question in front of you. Are we looking at this as a grant, or what are we looking at, Janet?
Jim, that would be up to the trustees, everyone that's there. Curtis has presented a proposal to us. To me, this is much like the wall that came in that, you know, we granted the amount. It was a grant that we did, but we knew with that the return would not be a substantial return on the investment. We knew that it was created to bring people to our city. So I'm assuming, and that would be either a John or a Curtis, but I'm thinking that this would be a proposal that he is presenting to us to make a motion on. Is that correct, Curtis?
I'm sorry, Janet, I didn't hear you.
A proposal that you are asking us to make a motion on? Much like, and John, if you could please, much like we did the wayfinding signs.
that's correct. If you were doing it as a grant and doing it through Main Street, like that project was done, then it would not have to go through a bid process. So, but if you were going to do it as an entity or as the city to do it, we would have to go through that bid process since it's over 30,000 estimate. Does that make sense, Janet?
It answered my question. Jim, did that answer your question? I'm certainly not a legal counsel. Then John, I think what John just said kind of clarified it for me.
And you don't believe this is a capital improvement?
I believe this is decorative. Capital improvement is something that's going to be there forever and something that has, I mean, this is decoration. This is creating, redoing the streets downtown. That's capital improvement. Fixing the sewer downtown. That's capital improvement. This is nothing more than like the street signs.
It seems like I'm kind of having the same problems Jim's having, that it is a capital improvement. It is something we're spending capital on for it to be there permanently.
But it is something permanent, but it's not a necessary fixture, is it?
Well, you're saying that it is.
Well, it is a necessary piece of the puzzle for tourism. Can Main Street exist the way it is right now without it? Absolutely.
Of course, the perspective that people are going to have on it are going to be from where they're located, where their businesses are located. And we're going to have some people come back in and we've already had several capital improvement things presented to us over the last couple of 3 years. One was, I thought, was a very needed thing out at the rodeo arena to build them and we ended up giving the rodeo some money to help them, just like we have the downtown area. We're giving them a certain amount each year.
I think it's 10,000.
What's that?
We'll give them $10,000 a year. Yes, downtown.
And we're not giving any other strip mall that kind of money. That's got maybe.
If you're running it through the city, I mean, again.
Well, I don't think it's a strip mall. Give me somebody to come, I guess. We've got this really neat downtown. You have to go see it. And we've got wonderful restaurants, great shopping. So they're saying it's making it a destination, not the strip mall's not a destination.
I'm not trying to play downtown. Because there's a lot of positive in the downtown area. But what I'm trying to say is the same thing Jim, I think, was trying to say, is that we're going to have some more people come in and say, well, you did it for them. You need to do it for us. And our trust was set up, people voted on it, that we would not be doing capital expenditures.
But like I said, it's pretty simple if you write it as a grant. Now, whether you want to run it through the Main Street, through the chamber or some other entity, if we want to get it done that way, we're more than happy to do it that way. But I'm still absolutely positively convinced that this is by far one of the best things that this entity can do for the city of Durant to create tourism.
It would be a good thing.
I do too.
Mr. Chairman,
And
Mr. Chairman, could I make a comment?
Janet?
Chairman Thorpe, may I make a comment? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
I think that number one, we're going to be, as a trust, criticized for anything we do. We've had direct criticism for some of the grants that we have given. I think our duty as trustees are to do what's best for our town that can help to create tourism and an experience for those tourists when they get here. I think John has made it clear that he is willing from the city's part to accept the responsibilities. And I think too that it's creating, much like our Christmas decorations would, it's creating an ambiance that brings people to our community to see. That's going to help fill our hotels. It's going to help our restaurants. It's going to help the new Lost Street Pub brewery that we are going to see. Anytime you have tourists that are coming to your community, they expect to have an experience. I see this as just helping to create that experience. And yes, let's be honest, we're going to take criticism. But hopefully, as we continue to help build our city, we can do other things in other parts. But we are going to take criticism. We've already had criticism. But there again, are we not going to ever be able to spend any of the money in fear that someone will criticize us?
I really think it's an excellent idea. If you want to ask me what I think, would be like Charles. I think we ought to go to legal counsel, which we have, and ask him the question: is it capital improvement? If he says it's not capital improvement, then I'm all for it.
Then, I mean, is it better to write the grant and go through another entity?
Well, that way with your legal attorney, you're not getting on shaky ground. And we've already had to ask him a question. We were going to literally try to give every one of the businesses on Main Street and all the small businesses that had less than 10 people in them. We were going to try to give $10,000 to every one of them, or $2,000 to help all of the businesses, small businesses, not just in Main Street, but anybody that had less than 10 employees. And we were going to do that. And we had to go to legal counsel. And he told us that we might wind up in federal court at one time. And so we had to back off of that. But we were all for giving every one of these businesses downtown and everywhere else $2,000 to help them out during this time. And we didn't get to because he thought it was going to be a legal problem.
Well, making it a destination might make them make that $2,000.
The-
We're gonna give them a lot.
The difference there is
Yeah.
that you are granting businesses money to stay afloat, and you're not spending that money creating tourism.
Sure.
This is absolutely positively creating tourism.
Would
This
it
is-
bother you if we took a month and get to a legal counsel, and if he says, okay, then we can come back with a vote? Would that bother you waiting for 1 month?
I'm fine with that, but I'm
I
fine.
think we should. I think we should ask for legal counsel to make sure we're not doing anything wrong. And when we are criticized for doing it, if it works, then have those people that are criticizing say, bring us a proposal and we'll look at yours just like, we do everyone else.
And
you know.
and trying to be overly critical of things, but in the way the money's been spent right now, giving money to somebody to bring a tournament into town, it's a one-time deal. You can't tell if you got a return from that or not. There's no doubt it will bring an ongoing return to the city of Durant for the next 10 years, easily. And you're helping the people who are injecting money into our city, which is what we need to be doing.
But you would be
I'm fine with-
satisfied to wait a month, and then if it did, I
I'll
don't
come
think
back.
anybody's going to vote against this,
I'll come back next
as
month.
long as it's legal.
If you want to get it through council and find the proper channels and how we need to get it done, I'm fine with it. But I am absolutely convinced this is what we need to do. And I would welcome if Scott or Tony, anybody else would like to throw a little in.
We're going to get Tony up here. Would that be okay with the board about seeking legal counsel on this and bringing them back next month?
That's fine. I don't think they're gonna build it in the next month.
I don't
You
either.
got questions, Danny?
I don't have a question. I think you need to expand it some, looking at, you're going from First Street to Fourth Street. We've got the Three Valley Museum. I
Hey,
think you need to go past the Three Valley Museum because you're looking at also a walking experience
Yeah, absolutely.
in the evening.
And like I
And
said,
then you need to go past First Street because at Main Street restaurants. collect
Tony
a
was
lot of
already
sales
after us to
tax.
string it across his parking lot and get it over to Main Street.
Mhm.
And-
But,
and-
I mean,
and so
I think you need
the
to go at
reason
least
we
a half
stopped
block
there
further
is-
in each direction.
The reason we stopped there is that's really truly the old downtown area that everybody really recognizes, and funding. We thought we were kind of pushing to come up with $40,000.
So
But
you think you
if
could,
we spent $50,000 downtown to light this up, I still believe you will absolutely get a return in your first year with sales
so
tax dollars.
you think you can come back with a proposal next month with it going down, what, four or 5 blocks down First Street and then 3 or 4 blocks that way?
No, I mean, I
It's-
think on this initial phase, I think you need to go at least a half a block.
I would also really like to light up Market Square. I'd like to turn the corner and just string it on the outskirts of Market Square.
I know, if you go past, right now you go past Main Street Barbecue and there's not any retail.
Yeah, there's really nothing
shops that
there.
are gonna be opening in the evening. I
But
mean,
the
you
thing
have
about
to
it
think.
is this gives you the avenue, is the reason people would want to go and build something there. And that's a reason we have to come back, get more money to string up south or the
So
east
we
side.
can look at this proposal, but you're going to add on.
We
on
will
First Street,
increase this
right?
proposal before next month, and you guys check on the legal aspect of it.
Do we need to have some sort of a spec sheet on what we're talking about? Like the question I asked, I mean, I know that this wooden grain, it's important as what it's made out of. It'll be
Oh, we can come
tremendously-
up with more details on the poles. That's not a problem.
And also, as I understood the city manager, he said, well, it would have to be put out to bid, so.
That's only if it went through the city. If this body funded it directly, or if it went through the city of Durant, it would have to be put out for bid. If it went through Main Street or the chamber, it would not.
If we did it, would we have to have ownership of it? Or would the city have ownership and then?
Well,
would
I
that-
think John's already declared that they're taking the ownership of it.
Well,
Once,
would that require a bid?
I don't believe so. Once it's installed, whether John, what?
That's another question you can ask legal counsel too.
Yeah,
It would require to be bid if the authority did it or if the city did it. Anything estimated over $30,000 has to be bid. Right, so that's our purchasing policy for the city.
and we don't know that it's gonna be 30,000 because we haven't gotten any bids.
If the estimate is 30,000 or above, it has to be bid based on policy.
The estimate you have in front of you is over 32.
Correct.
Again, that's not adding a little bit of lighting, they get across First Street, and maybe going up the block to the west.
Could we put this out for bid if that's what we have to do in that month period? Or do we have to wait till there's a legal opinion rendered on it?
I think it would be best to wait until you had your legal opinion, Janet.
Okay,
When we get a legal opinion, he can let us know that it can be bid through the city of Durant or through Main Street.
You guys can notify us once you have your opinion. Sooner the better.
Sure, sure.
And I will say from Main Street's perspective, I would prefer that it go through the city and it go out for bid. I mean, while Main Street's in full support of this project, I want to be cautious that it doesn't come back on us, you know, for just using one vendor out of the pack. That, I mean, I'm kind of like y'all, I can't think of another local vendor that would bid that whole project, which is why we went to Texas Manufacturing just to get a realistic number to even start thinking about. But I do think it's in everybody's best interest for us, you know, to put it out for bid, but also keep in mind we would like to keep it local if possible, you know, if this project went forward.
That's why we were talking about liability on us a while ago. If we go through you instead of the city, something happens to a car, one of these lights in a storm hits somebody or get electrocuted, they're coming right at the Main Street.
Well,
I'm gonna have to sit.
I think you can, I think once that's all placed on city property and the city accepts it, I think it's their responsibility at that point.
Well,
Now,
we'll
if
have
the pole
to,
falls over during installation, then you got a different problem, which is going to be the installer.
me and you are pretty sharp, but we're not lawyers.
But we will enhance this. You guys get a legal opinion and tell us what direction you think we have to go, and we'll put it back together and bring it next month.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
If I might. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Scott Dewald. We're putting in Lost Street Brewery at 115 Lost Street, 18,000 square feet worth of building. These lights aren't on my streets per se, but these lights being a street away from me help me immensely from a security perspective. That's the reason I'm here. We've talked a lot about tourism and making it a destination. I think we just also need to light it up, make it more safe, make it cleaner. And I think that'll help. We're going to invest a tremendous amount of money on our own lighting just for security purposes. Romas has already done the same. Everybody's doing that. But getting this started down those three streets, and I think you're right in trying to expand that a little bit. I'd love to see all of Lost Street clear down to 6th Street done eventually, and we'll get there. It'll take baby steps, but I'm here to support it just because it's a start, and I think it's a start in the right direction. I applaud you for getting legal counsel involved, get that answer, and then let's get her done.
Thank you. So I guess all of y'all, including Janet and Tammy, I guess it's okay for us to, do we need to vote on this for, I guess, me and Danny, and I guess Brandon to go set up a time with the legal counsel and try to get this done before the next meeting? Do we need to vote on this?
I think we do if we're gonna get a legal counsel.
Just asking Cindy, can we do that, Cindy?
Well, I think, the motion or the item says discuss and consider approval of proposal. So I would say on this right now, we would take no action and then have, but I can put in the minutes that you all are gonna get a legal opinion. Right now on the proposal, it would be a no action.
Okay,
So
Wouldn't you technically table this until next month pending the,
table it.
Table it and ask for our committee that goes and talks to the attorney to go give us a.
and if you guys would let me know as soon as you have that opinion and the direction we need to go.
I'll
we'll
make
revamp.
that as a motion.
So you're making a motion for what now?
I'm making a motion that we table it until
Have legal
consideration
counsel.
of it until we have our
Legal
attorney's
counsel.
opinion
Okay.
between now and next month's meeting.
Okay, so we got a motion by Charles. We got a second.
I'll second.
Danny seconds it. We got a vote.
Trustee Anthony,
Yes.
trustee Calhoun,
Yes.
trustee Cross,
Yes.
trustee Reed,
yes,
vice chairman Shear,
Yes.
chairman Thorpe.
Yes. We thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We'll have an answer for you this next, and I think if legal counsel is satisfied with this, I think you've made a good proposal.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Okay, the next one is for discussion, consider approval for advertising proposals. Number one is radio advertising presented by Jay Lindley. It's his time. Thank y'all for coming.
Not as tall as Curtis. I may even not need this thing since I'm in radio. So my name's Jay Lindley. For some of y'all that don't know, I run Mix 961. Actually, it's one of 4 stations within Keystone Broadcasting. 5 years ago, we came to an agreement with Southeastern Oklahoma State University to take over their video and radio rights. What we did for Southeastern Oklahoma State is if you look at, I don't know how she has this stapled together, should be page 3 if you're looking at this right here. You'll see a coverage map for what is our football broadcast network. This is pretty similar to what you see from bigger universities, University of Oklahoma, University of Texas. Interesting thing about this for Southeastern, this radio network for the football is actually larger than the University of Tulsa's radio network. We have 6 stations that are involved in that. 4 of those of ours, 2 of those are to the east of us that are Will Payne's Payne Radio Group. You're talking about a coverage area that in radio alone extends from Lawton all the way to DeQueen, Arkansas, from Sanger, Texas, all the way up to Moore, Oklahoma, from Van Alstyne all the way up to McAllister, Paris, Texas to Tallahena, and New Boston to Mena, Arkansas. In addition to that, of course, we have the video. So according to the conference rules, we're only able to video broadcast home games. Obviously, this year with what is going on with coronavirus, video is going to be pretty big for sports as a whole. Should we have sports? For example, UIL down in Texas, the governing body for Texas high school sports, for the first time ever, they have cleared the way for video streaming of all their high school sports this year, just due to the coronavirus. That is the football network. The basketball network, we lose the station to the west. We lose our Ardmore station. Again, pretty common. If you look at, for example, University of Oklahoma, they've got 46 radio affiliates for football. They dropped to 33 for basketball. And then for what we consider tier 3 sports, your baseball, softball, volleyball, that drops to a 3-station area that basically runs up and down 75. But again, the video aspect of it is pretty big as well. What we did was I put together 3 different top proposals. My overlying idea about this is, one, with Discover Durant and kind of going along with what Curtis had to say a while ago, Southeastern Oklahoma State has over 200 student athletes on campus. So you already have a group of people. Of those 200 plus student athletes, none of them are from here in Durant right now. They're all from out of town. So you've already got family members that come to Durant. So what are we doing to keep them here? What are we doing to invite them into the community when they're coming multiple times throughout the season? So one of the ideas that I had, and even though this is, if you look at just proposal one, if you will, the one that has naming rights and 2 ads per broadcast along with a 30-second live read, I come up with this idea for impact business spotlight, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a business. The concept is your 2 30-second ads in this first proposal would be whatever we want Discover Durant to be. For example, seeing some of the local television ads that you're open for business, kind of going along those lines. But I personally think that we could get a little more creative as we move down the road, especially whenever we're talking about highlighting not just businesses per se, but tourist destinations. So for example, this impact business, one of the ideas, and listening to you guys discuss earlier, the fear, if you will, of offending someone, of not including them and making this kind of inclusive. The great thing about this is we would, with this impact business aspect, you could include, we're contractually obligated to do 47 of these broadcasts a year for Southeastern Oklahoma State. We've done more than that each and every year. We did 73 last year, and that was with us being cut short due to the coronavirus. I mean, missed out on an NCAA tournament. So we could have, for example, one game, Roma's Italian Restaurant be our impact business. We get into certain times of the tourist year, we want to highlight things like Fort Washita, we want to highlight Lake Texoma, whatever's going on from a tourism standpoint. And this would take a lot of communication between myself and y'all as far as who and what and when, but it's something that we could easily map out as far as that goes. A couple of things that you have to understand if you don't understand network advertising, for example, on the football radio network, if you're looking at a proposal and you see it says 2 30-second ads, well, those ads are originating from here at Mix 96.1. They're airing simultaneously across all 6 stations at once. So this year, NCAA Division II has already said that there are going to be 10, not 11, football games this season. So with that, if you're looking from that standpoint, then you would have 2 times 6 times 10 as far as your total amount of commercials that aired, because those ads are airing in those other areas simultaneously. It's one of the few ways that I think that you can reach out, one, to a base that's not that far from here. Myself, I'm originally from Wright City, Oklahoma. I was just back home for the 4th of July weekend. Came across a friend of mine that graduated from Southeastern. And while we were there hanging out, he had just been to Durant. And it was like, he hadn't been here in forever. He's a safety guy. He's like, I did not realize it had grown that much. So this is a way to kind of promote the whole Discover Durant initiative, as well as going along and supporting individual businesses to a broader audience, as well as certain tourism initiatives like the lake, like Fort Washita, whatever direction we want to take that in. It would take a lot of communication between us, but it's something that I think is very doable as far as that goes. There are 3 different proposals laid out. The first of which says 2 30-second ads. In addition to that, you have the 1 30-second live read. It would be a part of our pregame show. So it would be before any of the action started. So it would be in a situation where there's no score, so there's no tuning out at this point. At the bottom of this, you'll see an additional add-on, if you will, of 210 30-second commercials to air on our sister station over in Ardmore. These ads would air Wednesday through Saturday, 6A to 9P. The reason I chose 210 to be exact, that is based on us running 26 weeks out of a 52-week year. That way you're not using them all the time. You're trying to use them at certain times of the year when you're looking at people coming to Durant for tourism type purposes. The one thing to note about our station over in Ardmore, it's a 50,000 watt station. It's the only 50,000 watt station in that area. And our listener base over there ranges, we get winners on contests from Duncan, Oklahoma, from all the way up into Pauls Valley. This is a way for us to expand over into that area of the world that typically stays up and down 35. Second proposal that I have laid out, same type of concept. The only difference is that instead of the Ardmore stations, we would basically increase the spot amount on our broadcast to 4 30-second ads per game. These would be Discover Durant type ads. And then in addition to that, you would still have the 1 30-second impact business spotlight. And then finally, a third price point, just working it down. We removed out one of those 30-second ads that would air on the network, making it 3 per broadcast instead of 4. Some of the numbers that you'll see on here, overall value, that is based on if we were to call each one of these individual stations and you ask them for rates and tried to do this, that's what it would add up to. So in other words, if you call our Ardmore station and you ask for rates for Monday through Friday, 6A to 7P, you're going to be paying $18 a spot for those as far as that goes. Similarly, going to the east with Payne Radio. So that gives you an idea. We discount based on the long-term investment because it's going throughout the course of a season. To answer a question that I'm sure is to come, one thing with this right now, we may agree on an option today. Obviously, if we don't have sports, everything right now as it sets, we have our first football broadcast September 12th. We're set to go at 6 o'clock from Ouachita Baptist in Arkadelphia. NCAA Division II has already slated their schedule and how they're going to run it. But as everything else since mid-March, we'll see when we get to September 12th. Obviously, with y'all's funds being tied to tourism, hotel tax, if we get into a situation, and this is a very real situation that I have to look at day in and day out right now with sports, because Southeastern's not our only project. We actually own the broadcast rights to Atoka, Colgate, Pottsboro, Ardmore, Lone Grove, Sulphur, and we even do a game of the week. If we hit, let's, for example, say we get 4 weeks into football season and something weird happens, because let's face it, 2020 has been the year of weird. If something weird happens, well, then we can't bill you for anything that doesn't happen as far as that goes. So essentially, if the season were to get stopped 4 weeks in, that's where we would stop. So there's no way to really have you on the hook for anything long-term, because if we don't have the product to provide, there's nothing we can do to kind of offset that. So that's where we're at right now.
If the sports is canceled, then the contract's canceled.
Yeah, exactly.
I got 2 more for you.
Yeah.
What's the size of your listening audience? I don't have it on here.
Okay, so listening audience, the one thing that's really difficult, especially in these small market stations, the only thing that you can really deal with, or they say you can deal with, is the Nielsen ratings. The problem you have here is, like, for example, Bryan County. They only do diaries. They do them twice a year. And in regards to that, as far as how they do the diaries, this last year, there were 45 out of 40,000 people in Bryan County respond, and they don't isolate necessarily on a particular day as far as that goes. So I can tell you the roundabout listenership for mix over the last 5 years has been 8 to 10,000 between Bryan and Grayson County. Our station over in Ardmore and Carter County has been the #1 station over in Carter County for the last couple of years. But again, that's just based on music listenership. I can tell you viewership numbers, which is a key thing too, because while the idea from my vantage point is to tap a captive audience that already has a reason to come to Durant with their kids playing sports at Southeastern, is you have the outside of, for example, Arkansas Tech. They're a school in Russellville, Arkansas. They're not traveling down here, but they certainly watch our games. And so if you looked at our average viewership over the video broadcast, and again, keep in mind, we're only able to do the home games. Last year's football broadcast averaged just under 6,000 views per game. Our basketball broadcast last year averaged just over 2,100 per game. And even our tier 3 sports average right at around 1,500 per game. So that's where we kind of sit. It's very tough to give you real numbers other than that from that standpoint.
What about, is the audience going to be smaller since it's coronavirus yet?
I would actually argue it's going to be higher. I mean, because if again, this all depends on crowds. If they allow crowds, even if they allow crowds, I think overwhelmingly, you're going to see a drop in attendance at some of these things, just simply because, let's use my dad as an example. My dad's 66 years old, had polio at the age of 5. He's had polio his whole life. He has post-polio syndrome, which creates an autoimmune deficiency. He has COPD. He typically comes to 1 or 2 football games, 1 or 2 basketball games a year. He will not be leaving his house in Boswell, Oklahoma this year if I have anything to do with it. So I think you'll see a drop, which then in turn, if there's, the interest is there, you're going to see an increase in viewership and an increase in listenership, because that's the only way they're going to be able to get that content.
So are you going to make this commercial for us, or are you going to charge us for it?
No. Everything that's in there is there is no production fees as far as that goes. That's all included in the pricing as far as that's concerned.
Got any more questions? Got any more questions?
I have one.
Okay.
So in regards to this, from a marketing standpoint, we're able to work together on this. What and who would I be working with on producing a commercial and coming up with the verbiage that you guys want to represent Discover Durant, and who would I be dealing with directly in coming up with some of these impact businesses? Because again, that's an area that I think that's something that really helps this idea, but I also want to be able to help out everyone that you guys see, the need to kind of promote.
I'm not sure it'd be individual businesses. It may be more like events.
Yeah.
We're doing that first, I guess they're still doing the first Friday evening downtown thing. What is that, Fort Washington? Of course, that's really too far. That doesn't bring, they go to Fort Washington, they're not gonna come to Durant.
No, there's no place to stay over.
Yeah, that thing they do at Halloween.
Yeah, they do the haunted, the ghost stories and all that.
Other events, we got Magnolia Festival scheduled for September. I mean, you can do individual businesses, but when you start picking individual businesses, you may make somebody mad. I think you're gonna have to limit it to events and attractions.
Gotcha. And that's something that could be done pretty easy. I mean, we do something similar right now with Choctaw Nation's freshman year initiative. At halftime of the games, we do a student success story. Their first freshman year initiative is a program for incoming students to work on campus. And so basically we spotlight these students a year after, like when they're in their sophomore year. So putting together something like that from our standpoint would be relatively easy to do. It's just a matter of little things, logos, pictures, things like that, visuals, because in turn, we will obviously put those things on the broadcast, but we'll put them on our social media, tag you guys, try to create some traction for y'all social media as well.
I think, advertising is the toughest thing in the world to figure out whether or not you get your money's worth or not. And most people don't have the money to run an effective advertising campaign. I mean, a lot of it, I think when it comes to Durant, we're kind of preaching to the choir, because some of these people are going to be coming to Durant anyway. They're already here, but maybe it's flying the flag.
I'll go along the lines of, there's a guy you can look up. His name's John Tack. He was one of the largest Ford dealers in the nation. He was head of the South Beach Ford. He was down in Miami for 30 years. And now he goes around the country, and all he does is help car dealers market. And his big deal is always frequency and reach. frequency, and reach. And knowing some of the ideas and where you guys are reaching out to as far as that goes, it's the one great thing about this. You're talking about a lot of reach, and you're talking about frequency in a short time span as far as that goes. So if you're running, 3 ads in a broadcast, you're talking about a 3.5 hour long broadcast. You're literally getting them in a short condensed time frame with an audience that is already engaged versus just trying to scatter shot it across everywhere.
So what you're saying is that it doesn't reach out far enough. It reaches out to Ardmore within about a 50 mile radius.
I mean,
and
those
it's not reaching
people,
any farther.
I mean, they may be more likely to come here or stop here or something like that. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, advertising in New York's not going to do us any good, I don't think.
And we can't afford Dallas, so I think this is a good option.
We can afford that.
Jay,
Yes.
I believe that our gross pull factor is 125-mile radius, which Danny was alluding to, that those in that area, and the reach expands to that area, correct?
Yes. It expands to it and even beyond it a little bit. And the one thing that, since I got into this as far as with Southeastern Oklahoma State, what a lot of people don't realize, when you look at the student athlete aspect of it, you're talking about over half of the athletes coming from south of the Red River. You're talking about athletes coming from as far out west or east, as Winona, Texas. Those are areas that you typically are not going to be advertising to on a regular basis. But right now you've got, you have players here that are associated with that. They have families. That's kind of where I see this kind of going, is that's the pool. You've already got a base. I used to work for a high school sports website called Coach's Aid. And the thing that we always preach that's a little bit different, if you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys from the time you're born till the time you die. If you're a fan of a high school, well, it really kind of rotates while your kids are in high school. So for us, our target audience was trying to have, we pictured the perfect Coach's Aid person to be a family of 4 with 2 kids that were 2 years apart, because we knew we would have parents and kids together for the next 6 years and have their interests. Same kind of thing here. You're going to have students and student athletes come and go. This is how you just continue to brand, though, to a new group each and every year as new student athletes come in, new families get involved with the program.
Sure. The question is anyone interested in the $16,000 proposal or the $13,000?
Okay, one thing to note here, just so you know, the overall is just to give you an idea if you were to call these people up, these stations up individually. The actual investment is what you're looking at. So you're not looking at 16, you're looking at anywhere from $8,100 total to $10,125 total. So you want to be looking at the actual investment amount, not the overall value. The value is just to give you guys an idea of if you were calling around and trying to pinpoint and build a schedule more than anything else. So the actual
question is, are we looking at a $10,000 proposal or a $8,000 proposal? Right. So anybody interested in that?
Tim, just a question. I thought we were going to do all of the advertising together so that we could kind of see the cost and what everybody decided to do.
And I'm perfectly fine with that.
You're not on the television advertising, are you?
No.
Okay, no, we're just going one at a time.
Because from my standpoint, if y'all want to wait and compare, I'm fine with that as well. And like I said earlier, we're in a position right now, September would be the first billing date as far as that goes. To kind of give you an idea, all of our invoicing occurs at the first of the month following. So there wouldn't be an invoice necessarily coming in until the month of October.
So we got a month to look over this and decide which way we want to go.
And it's also good, we don't have to give $10,000 up front.
No. Well, and I'll even tell you this year, due to circumstances, I mean, we have clients that do that. We have clients that pay everything up front. But due to this year and the way everything is playing out, it doesn't behoove us to do it that way. I mean, we're looking at everything being a month to month thing because we just don't know necessarily how or what's going to happen next.
So do we want to vote on this time, or do we want to table it and look at it next month? We need a motion either way.
Just a suggestion. Maybe if we listen to all of the advertising that we've got, I'm definitely interested in Jay's proposal. But one of the things that we're going to have to do, since you guys are wanting to spend more on advertising, is to do an amendment to the budget. So if we go through all of the advertising and maybe the things that you're not interested in, is going to kind of let us know what we've got for advertising as a base, according to our budget. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
So
Okay.
what do we want to do on this?
So I guess I think what she's saying, we love the idea, but she wants to look at it and compare it to our other advertising and see if we want to get rid of something else that we're advertising with,
Yes.
or make an amendment to the budget to add this.
So we
If
want to
we
look
don't
at this.
If we
and
don't have enough.
So we want to look at this and table it to next month? You gonna make a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
We don't have to table it, Jim. We don't have to table it. But
Motion for that to table it?
She wants to listen to each one.
Okay.
Right? Is that right, Janet? You want to listen to each one?
yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Once we listen to it, we can exclude what you guys don't want, and then we'll look at the overall budget to see what we have to expend. We may have to amend the budget to include additional advertising dollars.
Okay. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you much.
Certainly for what Jay's talking about, but once we look at everything, it will give us an idea of what we've got to add to the budget in order to cover the things that we are wanting to do.
And just to make sure, any other questions, anything?
Any more questions? Okay, thank you much. We appreciate
sir.
you coming. Okay, television advertising. Who's coming up in? Oh, that's good. Well, you can see Jennifer.
We can do it together.
There you go. What do we have?
Three, we can do
Right.
Okay,
Well, we have, I think separate from your packet, just, there's about 4 proposals here. And I don't believe that Tammy or Janet has these, but we can certainly get them copies. 4 different proposals here, 2 from Dallas stations and 2 from Oklahoma City stations. And like Janet said, I don't know that you're necessarily making any concrete decisions right now, but just kind of looking at the idea of what you may need to spend for television advertising. So basically in the Dallas market, I just kind of gave them an overall budget of $5,000. And that's only really going to touch the surface, if you will. One of the stations kind of just not really laughed at the budget, but they said, okay, here's our rates. So to really do like some spots in prime
you're
time.
talking about KXAS, okay?
Yeah. To really do some spots in prime time, we got the 30-second commercial produced. That we are open for business. So to really place that into some prime time, 6 o'clock news, 5 o'clock news, that's going to be about $1,000 to $2,000 a spot. So $5,000 is going to get you about 5 commercials. So that's just a kind of an idea of what it's going to cost to run in the Dallas market. The other station, in Dallas gave me a different kind of proposal because their rates are going to be similar across the board at every station in Dallas, but they kind of went a different approach and said maybe instead of running advertising with that budget, since it wouldn't really reach that much, was a proposal for this segment called Good Morning Texas, which basically you buy a segment on this lifestyle show, which I thought was a really great idea. So you can kind of look through that. And then the other 2 are some proposals from KFOR in Oklahoma City and News 9 in Oklahoma City. And I think both of those looked great to me.
Yes, it did.
If you are trying to reach that market, I think definitely letting people of Oklahoma City know what we have to offer would be great.
What about production costs? Is that included in?
Well, we already have produced a commercial. Jim was part of the commercial. It was a 30-second spot that's already produced. So you wouldn't have to worry about an additional production cost unless, obviously you wouldn't want to run that 30-second commercial for forever. So maybe the next month you would want to run that. It's promoting that Durant is open for business. So if you wanted to do an additional commercial down the road and a new proposal, we would have to look at an additional production cost.
Is this all during drive time?
The proposals, yes, are mostly during like prime time viewing. Yeah.
On Dallas, what did you tell them that our budget was?
$5,000.
Yeah, really, me personally, Dallas is a big place. We have coronavirus. We should already have this advertising going, all of us. And it's liable to be going this wintertime too. You know, I don't mind. Me personally, we have the money there. Dallas is a big market. Many people come up from Dallas, go look at the casino. You know, I don't see any problem with having a 20 or 30,000 budget in Dallas. Oklahoma City is excellent for the price. But, you know, we need to be putting out some money to get these people down, even to Main Street and the hotels. And we have the money to do it. We just need to do it efficient and as good as we can. That's my personal opinion. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah.
But, you know, even if it's $30,000 or $40,000 down Dallas, I have no problem with it. We have the money in the bank. But
Jim,
we don't want to be taken either. We want to do a good job
Right.
and get our money's worth.
I do think the draw from Dallas is huge.
Yes, it is.
I think Janet was also wanting to.
we have a huge market in Dallas, but the target market that we're after really doesn't watch television any longer. They're watching Netflix, Hulu, some of the select channels. My theory is, are we targeting a market that really people are not watching other than local news? And if you look at the statistics, it's going to tell you that people over 50 years of age are the ones that are watching that. Are they going to be traveling to the casinos? And that's the target market we're after. Just a thought, just a thought.
That's true. Hardly anybody under 50 watches TV. I'm agree with you.
Well, I think people still watch their local news though. If you can get those time frames in the during the news, and yeah, your people 50 years and older, they're the ones that have the money. Although I understand coronavirus not right now has that kind of slowed down, but hopefully that's not going to last forever.
So if we're going to do it, probably the news time is going to be the very best, or the segment with, what was it, Katie? I'm sorry, Texas Live.
Good morning, Texas.
Good morning.
Your morning shows are great. Or during like people, you know, whoever has like Ellen DeGeneres show or those different shows like that people do watch. Those are the time frames. You know, we do a lot of advertising for the Copper Kettle on obviously Channel 10, Channel 12. And I'm here to tell you, I never thought that those commercials would do that much good, but people really watch them.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do.
And locally, we're hitting there again that gross pull factor market from KP and 12 both.
Right. But if we want to branch out to Oklahoma City or Dallas, you know, it's just like the lake. I know I can tell you this much, for as far as the lake goes, we at the Copper Kettle, we get a ton of people who come from Edmond, Norman, all over Oklahoma City, and they come down to Durant they come down to stay at the lake somewhere at a cabin or whatever. The first thing they do is they drive to Durant to go to Walmart to get the groceries. And we put a sign out west of town, and I cannot tell you how and that one sign doesn't cost us anything, costs us absolutely nothing. And we've made more money off of that sign just because if they're watching the news or whatever in Oklahoma City, or they're going to say, well, let's go on downtown and see what's down there. Most people just stopped at Walmart, turned around and went back because they didn't know there was anything else to go see. Well, they're starting to learn, and we get a ton of customers from Oklahoma City, Norman, and all that because they didn't know there was anything to go see, but we had that sign. So, and it's the same thing coming from Dallas. They see our sign and they'll come on downtown even from the casino. It makes a huge difference, but commercial spots are priceless. You can't pay enough for those. I'm telling you, they're worth it.
You know, even if we had to spend, we have the money for this, and we need some business. If this coronavirus comes back this wintertime and we wait till January to do this, we've already wasted money. What it is if we had to have $50,000 on Dallas and $50,000 on Oklahoma City, we need, me personally, I think we need to get it going. You can have all the lights down on Main Street that they want, but if you didn't come in from Dallas and Oklahoma City, those lights are just going to shine. We have to have this thing going in the next month or two and get it ready. That's my personal opinion. Hotel owners, we don't want this in November.
No.
Well, as Katie mentioned, Jim, the commercials are ready to go. The 2 commercials are already running. So they're produced. All we have to do is forward them when we vote on it, if that's what we decide to do.
And if we want to make some more spots for later, after this one has ran for a while, there's 2 or 3 people here in Durant. We use a guy that's local. Well, he's from Bennington actually, and he does our commercials for the Copper Kettle, and then we just send it to Channel 10, Channel 12. He makes the commercial and we send it to him, and he is fantastic. He does a super job. So I think we can make some more later, to keep it going.
Well, are we ready to vote on Dallas and Oklahoma City, or do we want to wait another month before we start advertising?
Jim, I don't think we need to wait another month on any of it, but let's hear the proposals that we've got, because I think we'll want to weed some of the advertising cost out. What you did, you asked us to get cost on everything. And we only have a budget, and Jennifer, I believe it's 32,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if we do expand it, which we have money to do, if we expand that, we're going to need to do a budget amendment to be able to pay for them. I don't know if you're understanding. I don't know if I'm getting across what I'm trying to say.
We have the money, but we have to amend the budget. Right?
We can do that. We can do it next month and take care of this.
If we wait that long, we vote to go ahead and amend the budget, and then.
Can we go ahead and vote to amend the budget this time?
We can't do that.
We can't do it. It's not on
the.
But we can cover the cost on some of the initial things that we want. If you want TV, then we can vote on that today. What I'm saying is listen to everything that they've got, and then let's see what we want to put on hold and go ahead and prioritize what we want to do expenditures for today. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've already heard radio. We've kind of heard, and now we have 2 more to see. And then what is our advertising budget?
32,000
total.
Yes.
Per year. Okay.
So
I think we ought to vote to amend the budget. I think it should be more than that much. I think it ought to be 30, 40,000 for each one of those. I'm serious about.
If we want to do it quicker, we can have a special meeting.
And amend the budget.
It's got to be on the agenda.
Yes.
Why don't we hear this, and then we can decide at the end to amend the budget at a special meeting to cover whatever.
If you guys want to hear all the different avenues that we did look up, and then that way, whether it's a special meeting or next month's meeting, we can know exactly which ones you guys want. And so we can give you like the grand total for each one, and we can know what we need the budget to be amended for.
Yes, and that way we can
would like to do.
We can pick them out, and if it's $50,000 a piece over each one of them, that you already have the commercial at a certain time.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes. Okay. So the next part on the television advertising is we reached out to, it's a company called Before the Movie. And so they're out there Choctaw casinos. So when you go out to watch a movie, they're part of the commercials that run before there. We thought that would be a great target audience because
You're talking
one of
about
our
the
main
digital?
goals- Do what?
Digital?
Yeah.
You're looking at digital?
Well, it's television, but it's like in the theaters.
Sure.
It's the Gmail email in your packet, if that helps any. So we thought that was a great one because obviously one of our big goals is to bring them into town from Choctaw. So if they're out there with their families watching movies, we can kind of give them a sneak peek of what they can do when they come into town. And so they had 2 different options for us. They do 12-month flights, as they call them, and 6-month flights. And if we did a 30-second slot at 12 months, that came to $5,520 for the year. And for 6 months, it came to $3,450. And that does include an original production upload process and everything.
Now, you're talking about Google too, and we did this Best Western too. If they key on a certain word, it'll just bring us right to Durant. That's what Charles was talking about 6 months or a year ago, to where it will, you put in a certain word, it will just flip you right over to Durant, which is pretty neat.
Absolutely. And that's what I had next in the advertising is the digital advertising. And that's exactly what it is. It's a company that they would be able to go through our website and our Facebook, and they will do Google ads and Facebook ads. So if someone's out there and types in, where do I go eat in Durant? It'll pop up to our website, to our hotel page, where else can I stay in Durant? There's a concert in Choctaw's Pool. Oh, well, you can stay at these couple of different hotels that are great for you. And he could do that on both Google and on Facebook. Facebook would be, if you're scrolling through Facebook, you see those sponsor commercial ads.
So the
Basically,
Google
if they're in that area that
The
we
Google would be to
pinpoint.
how much now?
So the way he does it is it's Google and Facebook together, and that would be for a year investment of $27,950. And that includes
it'd bring a lot of
creating the ads. Oh, yes, it'll reach a lot of people. That would include creating the ads as well as doing the research for us to let us know like the best place to pinpoint and the best time. And the great thing about this one is he's actually able to give us statistics back and tell us how many people clicked on those ads. So we will actually get to see our statistics back on that one.
Yes, I do that on Rick's dental practice down there, and what it does, it brings you up to the top. La Quinta does that too, and Best Western does too. When you key on a certain thing, instead of you being on the 4th page, you're on the 1st page, because nobody ever, even in Best Western, they'll tell you, nobody gets past that 1st page.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a waste of time.
yeah.
But, on something like that, I'm pretty well for that, digital.
And then the last one we looked at is we looked at a couple of different billboards down in the North Texas area.
Are we planning on voting on that digital today or not?
That is up to you guys. I thought we were to the point we wanted to kind of scroll through everything, and then that way we could decide what we wanted to do.
Okay, then let's go to the billboard.
So we have looked at a couple of different billboards in the North Texas option for you guys to look at. We've got one that's on Highway 289 in Frisco. So in your packet, it's the one that currently has, I think it's Beauty and the Beast on there.
Yeah.
So that one, they have it where we would get a weekly impression of $223,895. And so it's on Highway 289. That one came to.
Is that dollars or view?
Do what? I'm sorry?
You said dollars. Wasn't that views?
I'm sorry, Janet, you're cutting out. I couldn't hear you.
Okay. I think you said it was $218,000. It's views, isn't it? Don't you mean?
223,000 views.
Okay, good. Pause for a minute.
$500 a month, yes.
Yeah, so that one's 500 they do it on a 4-week billing cycle period.
Oh, that's good.
Yep.
And what was that a month?
So 500 is that one. And then we
We
did
have one in
one,
Collin County for $3,800 a month.
yeah. Then there's one on Highway 75 in Plano, that's 3,800 a month. And it has a weekly impression of 838,000. And then there was also one, it's on Highway 75. It's a northbound read. It is down kind of a little into northeastern Dallas in the Highland Park area. And it was 6,500.
A month.
It's billing cycle, yes.
Jennifer, on those, does that include production cost?
That does not include production costs. Your production costs are $1 per square foot.
And the size of the sign is how far? How much? The size of the sign, how many square feet?
So for the one on Highway 289, the $500 a month one, that one was a 13 by 25. So that would be a $325 production cost. Yes.
So we're looking at these today. Do y'all want to vote on any of these? Are you ready for the digital and get that started? And you want to look at this more, or which way y'all want to go? Discussion time.
Well, since we have the money for the digital.
Yep.
And the other ones are taking more thinking and see which one we might determine. Maybe we could vote on the digital, table the, or whatever you want to say, the other 3 options.
Billboard.
That way we can get something out there now.
I'm for that too.
Tammy?
I think we need to start somewhere. I mean, I like the digital for sure. Absolutely. Commercials. I mean, I'm kind of with Janet. I think we need to see all of it together and say we want to do this much on commercials and pick where we want to put our money. And the same thing on the billboards. I don't know that we need to do all those billboards. I don't know. Billboards are they're huge selling point.
So do you want to table all of those besides C, the digital advertising? Did you want to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and pass the digital and table the other 3 for maybe a special meeting after we add the amendment for the meeting for the amendment for
Okay.
the budget.
Then I'll second it. Got a vote? For the digital advertising, table the other 3. Table A, B, and
Yeah, call a special meeting for those.
What are we talking about the cost on digital advertising?
The digital advertising, his investment was $27,950 for the year. So that comes out to a $2,250 monthly fee.
that will put us on the front page of a lot of things.
And that includes what?
That includes creating the ads, him doing the research to let us know the best places to put the money into the ads, and a continual research. And so each month he will continue to look at the research and let us know, and he could come back one month and say, hey, Facebook did really good this month, so maybe let's move some of the money from Google to Facebook, but still keep our bottom dollar the same. But he will continue to do the research to let us know which route to take. His name is Clay Toma. He's with Marketing Techs here in town.
We can also do that on a monthly basis, correct?
Yes.
In other words, if we're not getting the results we need in 3 to 6 months, then we can it's a month-to-month contract. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So we got a motion by Debbie, second by Jim. Any other discussion? We need a vote.
Okay. Trustee Anthony,
Yes.
trustee Calhoun,
Yes.
trustee Cross,
Yes.
trustee Reed,
Yes.
vice chairman Shear,
Yes.
chairman Thorpe.
Yes. Okay, we'll go to number 5, discuss and consider FY 2019, 2020 grants awarded with events postponed or canceled. Got any discussion on that?
So if I may, this is the one last month we discussed the Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival grant. Their event has been canceled. And the Silo softball team, their event kind of continues to get postponed. They are still hoping to be able to do it, but they're unsure.
And we
so
haven't
y'all-
given the money yet.
No, we still
Good.
have the check.
Okay.
And so y'all wanted to put it on the agenda for this month to decide, do we want to carry, especially for like Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival, do we want to carry that over to next year for them or have them reapply? This is.
Probably carrying it over to next year. I think that's it.
I don't either.
Well, they may, if they reapply, they may have some other ideas next year.
Sure.
It's true.
And if they don't have it next year, we'll cancel out then.
I
So
mean, but if we carry it over to next year, then they apply for next year, does that mean they'll get twice as much? More.
That is
Oh,
y'all's decision.
I mean,
So what we can do, we
and
can
that might
cancel-
help 'em. That might
we can
help 'em.
cancel them right now, and then they'll have to reply next year.
Yeah,
if
but
that's for-
that might be good to help them out, give them more.
Right.
That might be a way of giving them more than
Yeah.
what they're allowed per year.
So we're just gonna postpone it, or we're gonna cancel it out and let them go next year?
Could we possibly do this? Could we possibly ask Riley if maybe she would like to do a revision on the grant to show additional use since they are not going to have the season? Because I know that their after-school program is a huge part of what OSF does.
Are you gonna make a motion on that?
A motion or just a suggestion? Do we need a motion on that? Because we've already voted for the $10,000 amount. If she revamps the grant to show use on it, and we don't think that it's a good use of the funding, then we can put that on for a vote for next month. Would that help? And I'm just asking.
Okay, is there any more discussion on this? Okay, we'll go to the next one. Discuss, consider proposal for Durant Area Chamber of Commerce, representative of the DTEDTA monthly service fee for August 2020 and September 2020. Anybody want to, any discussion, or you want a motion on that?
I'll make the motion, we approve it.
Danny's got the motion. Who's got the second?
I'll second.
Second by Debbie. We need a vote.
Trustee Anthony,
Yes.
trustee Calhoun,
Yes.
trustee Cross,
Yes. Yes.
trustee Reed,
Abstain.
vice chairman Shear,
Yes.
chairman Thorpe.
Yes. Number 7, discussion of future office space rental. I talked to Janet about that, about the office over in the Chamber of Commerce for $1,200. And she got with her directors and said they don't want to do it right now. We
Now, Jim,
can
I
look at,
didn't-
that too, because we don't have to have it there. If we probably can find some more stuff at $1,200 too, but go ahead, Janet.
I didn't say that they weren't interested. I just said the room wasn't ready. We have got to get it painted. There's carpet that's got to be done. It will be ready to lease. We're just not, it's not ready at this point.
It'll be ready when?
I'm hoping, I'm hoping very soon, but we're the ones having to put the bill on it. So it's going to be as we can do it.
What
So-
about the furniture? Are we gonna have to come up with some furniture if we move?
Right now, it is totally vacant. There's no furniture in it at all.
Well, I think this is gonna be a lot bigger discussion than we really want to get.
Yeah, we can do that next week, next month. Janet, Charles also said, at one time you said we could have it over there and we can move from the city council place and have our meetings over there. But Charles just got to tell me they cut all those lines over there for having their meetings over there. So did they cut those lines for that? Over at the Chamber of Commerce, did they cut those lines?
Cut line.
Yeah, the lines to have a virtual meeting over, did you say something to me about that? There was some lines over at
I know
the
that
DI?
the table that's been in there for a conference table, they cut it up in 4 pieces, I understand. And so that's gone. And all the chairs and desks.
So we couldn't have virtual meeting over there.
No, Jim, the virtual meeting is held in the conference room, which is in the back. The
Yeah.
conference table and the chairs are no longer in what was the DIA office.
Okay. Well, let's just, everybody ready to table that till next month then?
Yes.
Everybody ready? Okay, then we'll just go to the next one, the informative items, area Chamber of Commerce activity report. Okay,
Okay, I put each one of these on one of the chairs. So Janet, Tammy, I apologize. I will get them to you. We were very busy this month. The commercial is up that we voted to approve last month, that Durant is open, as we talked about. The 2020, 2021 grant applications are online, and they are where people will just be able to go online and fill them out completely online and attach everything that way. So they're on our website there. We've been continuing to work with the state with the hashtag Okay Here We Go. That's their spring and summer tourism campaign this year, trying to keep everybody in Oklahoma because they can't go anywhere else. COVID. And then we did have discussions with the Oklahoma Arts Council on creating a metric system for our grants, so we would be able to have those. However, again, COVID. So, but they are going to be getting back with us soon to be able to help with that, in which we didn't have any grants to approve this month. So we'll hopefully have some metrics next month and be able to get that ironed out before we get grant applications.
That it?
Any questions?
Yes, I looked at the lodging tax and all of a sudden it caught up with us because we're 2 months behind in May, which it was earlier. You only had $22,000 that came in, and all of a sudden here comes June, which was probably April, whatever, and there's only $13,000 coming with that 5% tax.
There
The
is.
hotels has been hurting quite a bit.
There is, but we are expecting a comeback on that because again, everybody is ready to get out of their houses.
Well, it'll
For
come
one.
back, but it's
So
gonna
we
come
are
back slower.
expecting
It's
a
not
quick
gonna,
comeback
it's
on
not gonna
that.
just bump.
People are traveling. a lot
Right.
More than they were.
Yes,
We've had
it's
people
already
from
gone
Iowa
up.
going to, I mean, of course, now Texas, but we've had them from all over the place. It's really, really picked up. But luckily, we have workers there.
And we
They're
hope,
used to it.
we hope that coronavirus don't come back this next fall because all of a sudden it'll slow down again.
And I would like to add on that real quick, if I may, on the back of that, on the graph sheet here,
Okay.
it does have, we budgeted to be able to get 390,000 for the last fiscal year. And even with that dip in June, our current month revenue came out to 402,000 for the year. So even with that dip, we did still come out ahead of what we were budgeting to hope to get. So
Sure.
overall, that's good. Any other questions?
Any more questions? Okay, thank you much.
Thank you.
All right, next one is citizen comments on non-agenda items. One more time, citizen comments on non-agenda items. Anybody got anything? Okay, number 10, report from the Choctaw Nation Tourism Department. Danny, you have anything to say? I don't either. Do what? Okay, Nathan is here. Thank you, Nathan. I didn't know you was up there. I apologize. Okay, tell us what the Choctaw Nation has in this next few weeks and months.
Well, I was more just sitting in on the meeting and taking notes for Joe. I don't really have any updates currently, so I apologize on that. I wasn't planning to be called up, so I really do apologize on that. I can definitely contact Joe though and get the updates and email it to y'all tomorrow at the earliest, as early as I can for y'all, and get y'all as much updates as I can though. I do apologize.
When are your events going to start back up? I know, your singers coming in and all that. How far down the road is it before you start having your events coming into the theater?
That's actually a good question because I'll have to talk to our commerce and our gaming department on that because I don't have no ties to them currently. But that is an extremely good question. I will definitely ask them about that.
Very hard to answer.
Yeah, and another question, you're coming along good on your building, your 21-story, 22-story building.
Yes, sir.
Projecting of that being finished, is it going to be another year and a half, or what?
To my knowledge, again, that's out of my pay grade, sadly. But I wish I did know. But judging by what I've seen and by what I have heard and people have shared with me, it's all still on the same timeline, and it should be opening on the date that they've released publicly.
Okay. Any more questions for him? Nathan, we appreciate you coming, and just keep us informed this next month. Appreciate it.
I will do, and like I said, I will send y'all an update as soon as I contact Joe tomorrow. Me and her will chat, and I'll send y'all an email out as soon as possible.
Thank you much.
Anytime.
Okay, number old business. We got any old business? No old business? How about new business? How about adjournment? We got
Make a motion, we adjourn.
A second.
got Debbie a second? Need a roll call?
Trustee Anthony,
Yes.
Trustee Calhoun,
Yes.
trustee Cross,
Yes.
trustee Reed,
Yes.
vice chairman Shear,
Yes.
chairman Thorpe.
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Cut off your microphones.